Hi, everyone. I'm Behnaz. Also, a very warm welcome and thank you very much for joining us tonight. Um, I'm I'm going to talk about the topic that I'm going to talk about today is how to make data products using different AWS services and Collibra. And this is the project I worked in this quarter, basically. So I would like to share the results and why we did so. So the agenda for today is first, sorry, this is not working with my head. So I'm gonna give a little bit of introduction, then I will talk about the importance of productizing data and our team use cases and the final result, and we can have a Q&A and discussion at the end. So if you remember, like almost, do you hear me well? Okay. I have the feeling that you are not hearing me well. Okay, if you remember almost, no, okay. If you remember almost 20 years ago, we actually, this sentence kind of became very hyped and it coined by Clive Humby that data is the new oil. And as humans, we started to collect data because we thought that it's a precious thing. So all the companies started to massively collect data. And also at that time, like these phrases as big data also came to the picture. And the focus was mostly on the volume, but not the value. So everyone was just like collecting and hoarding data, but we didn't know at that time what would be the value of this data. And now, almost 20 years after, many companies actually realize that they have like huge data lakes that turned into like data swamps. And because why? Because different teams started to collect data without having any integration. So we got to have data silos, and also business users also didn't know that like whether the data that was collected was really accurate or not. And we also didn't have any ownership or compliance on the top of the data. And and also in the recent years, we got this compliance headaches, and that was like the cherry on top that we had on 2018, the GDPR enforcement, and also recently we had the EU Data Act. So this actually, all these kind of reasons led to kind of understanding that like the traditional data lakes actually do not deliver trust, and what will actually do that will be the productized data will do the job. But how? Because this way of making the data as a product has some benefits, like because this catalog data makes the data easy to find, so that's why it is more discoverable. And by making the data product, we ensure that all these data sets follow the same format and the schema that we define, so it's consistent and standardized. Also, we define access control and ownership, so that's why we also cover the governance and the trust to the data. Also, the user or even other services can use our data products safely. So this gives like scalability and reusability to our data. These are very nice concepts, but we want to know how we can benefit from these concepts, basically. I would skip the part that like what our team actually do, but and what are the architecture behind our system. But basically, we are tracking the car mobile apps, and one of the data that we are covering is the error data. And how do we actually fulfill the stakeholders' need is actually in two formats. The first format is like we are building these dashboards, which we define like, okay, what are the highest error type that we have. And the second format is we just had this request that one of the teams wanted to have this error data in a Parquet format. And what we did was we transferred this error data using the data sync service and just dumped the data to a S3 bucket. We didn't know who is using this data. We didn't know actually who is the owner of the bucket, because when I was logged in, I had no access even to see the Parquet file. And also we didn't know for what purposes was that data was used. But we know something, that data was very important. It was very important for our stakeholders. And we asked, actually, like the importance of the data was too much that we were asked that it's better to make a data product out of it so that like other teams and other stakeholders can use that. So how did we do that? I'm going to stay in this slide for some seconds because and also giving you a disclaimer. So basically, these are all AWS services and the setup that is like compatible to our project and how we used it. But I think it can be a good inspiration for all of you if you're using the same kind of structure or data and wants to kind of mix the same thing in your project. So what we did is actually, there was a problem that this Collibra thingy was not connected to our AWS account. So my team AWS account is A, and B was, imagine it's like a bigger, more controlled, and like with a lot of rule, another AWS account that in order to get the data from Redshift to here, I had to create all these services one by one to be able to publish the data to the Collibra. So let's go to the first one. So as I said that like previously, we were collecting this error data. So that the error data was actually residing in our Redshift database. So the first thing was to create the S3 bucket in the account B in our account. So, and then we were unloading the data to this S3 bucket. Then, since we are facing like a cross account in AWS, AWS offers a very nice service. I like it very much. It's called Data Sync, which is used for transferring data into different AWS accounts. But Data Sync is a little bit demanding. You need to define a lot of things for it to do the job. So there are two actually important topics in data syncs. One is source location and destination location. These are both like the location of the different S3s that the data sync want to do the job. And we define data sync IAM role. So we define a role so that that role will read the data from the source bucket. And also at the same time, we had to create another S3 bucket in the destination, which is account B, and also creating another role in account A to write the data to the S3 bucket in account B. So far, so good. We just got the data, the raw data, to the account B. And then when it comes to account B, as I explained before about what is actually data product, so we just don't want to have raw data. So that data needs to be kind of transformed and used and have like kind of access and security on top of it. How did we achieve that? After getting the raw data into S3 bucket in account B, we needed to have like a step function because that load is happening every day. So it's like depends on you. You can have the data, you can like just make the data sync cron job in a way that it, I don't know, based on your whatever schedule, dumps the data to the S3 bucket. And after that, we needed another step function for triggering the AWS hoodie glue job. So here, the hoodie glue job will actually, we are using this Apache hoodie open source framework, if you're kind of familiar with that, which is creating S3 but in a structure as if it's in a database. So it creates the S3 hoodie tables. These tables are, and they are registered on the AWS data catalog. So good thing about these hoodie tables are that they are not like normal S3 buckets. They are actually that delivers data in a format of table. And it actually, because we want to, this flow is happening kind of every day or twice a day, we want the data to be added incrementally and do not like make a mess in the data or the tables or anything else. So we achieve that by this S3 hoodie, highly recommended. And then it comes, on top of that, it comes lake formation, which actually governs this access and security over these hoodie tables. And I don't know if you're familiar with lake formation or not, but for me, it was the first time using that. And it was actually the same as what you see in the AWS data catalog. You will see in the lake formation, but you will also see the governance and like the access and security in the lake formation. So far, technically, if you want to have like from the technical perspective, you will have your data product here. Because this AWS data catalog can, then later you can connect it to Athena or Redshift Spectrum or EMR databases and like do your queries or analysis on that. But we wanted to publish data to Collibra, so we had another modules to publish the data to Collibra, because we wanted to fulfill like more kind of like a business need. And what we achieved, like before, as I said in the format 2 of the what we deliver, we only had the S3 data accessible only by one team and no cross-domain visibility, nothing at all. What we see right now in Collibra, we see the asset view, we see our name, location, link of the database, we see metadata and governance fields, we see the confidentiality, who is the owner, for example, our team, who is the data steward, it's me, retention policy, and all these kind of things. We give the business contents context. We tell the brands, latency, original source, use cases, and also our data product right now is kind of discoverable in the data catalog search of the Collibra. So the result, so from this, like what we had before, just this kind of process data, error data in a Parquet format. Now what we see in Collibra is D2B error data, D2B our team, owned by D2B team, refreshed daily, accessible for this and that brands, and governed under retention policy of 120 days. So that was the achievement. Any questions?